He was coming to the house.
Well, you're that old?
No.
Am I that old? Because I think we're the same age. So did my doctor used to come to the house and make visits?
I don't think so. That's how good of a guy he was.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Falcons Corner. Voice of the Falcons, Mike Rickert. Pinch hitting, we had to get a bigger seat because you're the big guy. Pinch hitting for the co-host, the good guy that know Dan Berg, is Director of Athletics, Erik Larson, and then still we got the SID behind the camera, Tom Ferguson.
And I like the way he started with a clap, like we're back into it.
I know, and you notice how I was like right on it.
You were right on
no hesitation.
Yep.
Nothing. I was expecting
Jumped right
and
in.
stuff too. So how's it feel to be in the big chair?
It's been a while.
Yeah.
A big chair as in like I'm wider than Bird?
No, it's like a pedestal.
All right. Oh.
Like a throne.
Heavy as the crown. That kind of thing,
I don't know if I'm at that point, but.
Well, we're going to all say
But it's also enjoyable to be back in the seat every now and then because this is fun.
It is. We're having a surprise early recording of the show because of some work commitments that we have coming up later this week. So we do have scheduling issues to worry about. It is. And if I've never been prepared for a show, I am the least prepared ever for an edition of Falcons Corner, which makes great content.
I can't wait to see where the show goes today, especially since we were off a week.
Yep.
All we did was sit back and watch our teams last week, and we didn't really talk about them till right now. And then what I always thought of, even when I was a college athlete and played baseball, going on my spring trip and then coming back north to snow is the worst case situation. And of course, and they didn't come back to a little bit of snow.
No, so there's several inches of snow, which I'm sure Coach McCary and Coach Pitzman are thrilled about, and they probably can't wait to get back inside to practice after being, and I think pretty good weather down in South Carolina.
Beautiful conditions. I know they had some couple days of rain, but they still got 10, 11 games in last week.
Yep, and they both came back 500. They're both over 500.
Over
yes?
500.
Yeah, so so I would say that is a successful trip.
Yeah, and Tom and I were talking about that last week. They had a slow start where it seemed like, but what would you expect? I mean, it's legitimately the first time they were on the field, the first time they saw live pitching and those kinds of things. So they had a slow start, but by the end of the week, they came back strong.
Yeah, I think baseball played two really good teams in their first 4 games against Florence Darlington and against Patrick and Henry, and lost those games. But those were teams that made the World Series last year in Division I and Division II.
Right, and I think a good point, not to interrupt you, Tom, but good point, how many games did they play before we played them, though, right?
Yeah,
so they had a handful of games.
13, I think Patrick and Henry played about 13 games,
right.
and Florence Darlington probably played about 11 or so.
And I know the same with, talking to Coach Pitzman before, he left. I know a handful of the schools they were playing already had some, games scheduled under their belts. So, I think that's a big advantage.
Yeah, and so baseball's bats came alive in Myrtle, and they won 6 straight. And honestly, I thought softball, because we really weren't sure what they were going to be this year.
Right.
They at 6-5, that's a pretty good start for them.
Yeah.
We
did know one thing they were going to be, Tom. They were going to be strong.
Yes, and they've shown that.
Yes.
And why is that?
But they're just, I don't know. That's a good question.
They're in the weight room a lot, I guess.
They are. And it's funny that you say that because before we came here, I got a message from Coach Pitzman asking if we were good to go this week, twice a week this week. So, they'll be back in getting stronger.
At which they need to do because outdoor activities, I think, might be a little limited this week.
Right. Now, I know that the weather forecast looks great. If there wasn't the snow, I think we'd be in really, really good shape. But, hopefully we can get this stuff melted and, aired out and get our crack grounds crew teams out there and getting our fields ready to play.
Yep. So now that we're back in Northeast PA, we get to go through those daily struggles for our spring sports where we're not sure when we're going to play. We have games scheduled this weekend, both baseball and softball, and they'll be traveling on the road. But I know Coach McCary is trying to get a couple of games here at home if possible.
Right.
But, that'll be a field issue.
Yes, of course, and stuff. So let's get that snow off the field. Let's get that melted, and then some sunshine. And
I hear that's a really good workout, shoveling off snow off a field.
It is.
For
those of you that don't run 50 miles a week, shoveling snow is a great way to exercise.
It's a great workout for someone else.
Yes, yes, exactly, and stuff too. So, But I think we played. Now let's talk like a little bit individually. And I know, Tom, we're really going to fall on this for you because you just sent us. But I know, like on a softball, and Emma McNally raked all week. And I know Coach Pittman was expecting, really a big season out of her, statistically. But who else softball wise?
Well, Emma, as you mentioned, 13 RBIs. I think she had 8 total extra base hits so far already this year. A couple, I think 5 doubles, something like that. A couple triples and a home run as well. Katarina Summers, I thought, did pretty good too. She had about 9 RBIs. She was a little, I think it was like 269 or something was her batting average, but she definitely hit for power when she needed to.
And I know Coach Pitt was a little concerned about pitching. Not 100% sure what we're going to see there with depth, but I thought we saw some pretty good pitching. Michaela Quick had a shutout there. Thursday? They're
not striking out a ton, but they are. Megan Fritz did a pretty good job, kind of dancing in and out of trouble. I thought Tess Rushman had a good game. I think Tess was the pitcher in the shutout. Michaela Quick has, I think, been on the unfortunate side of some results where she's pitched really well, but she's come in tough situations and had to try to bail them out. And so she picked up a couple losses, but I thought she's been pretty good too. I thought Fritz, I think, had 5 steals or has 5 steals. It's tied for the team lead. Her and Kira Ryan.
Yeah, I was going to say Kira. I know that I saw a couple of steal homes between her and Megan. And
even when the bats are struggling, because they had a couple games, especially against Henry Ford, who's a good program. Even when the bats were struggling, the Falcons were still getting on base and still kind of making life difficult for the other team. So I'm sure that was something Coach Pitt saw and was pretty pleased with.
And maybe that's our game plan this year. We're going to put the pressure on the other teams, and whether it's small ball or we're going to steal a couple bags, we're going to get runners in scoring position, and let's see what we can do with it.
And from watching Coach Pittman coach over the past couple of years, he seems to be a really aggressive base coach. So his ladies are always trying to take that extra base and do what they can to score a couple extra runs.
Yeah, funny you say that. Twice over the past week, Megan Fritz stole home. To come in to score. So
one of the best steals going.
Who doesn't want to steal home? Right? But especially down there though, when they're playing on all turf though, that's not fun sliding on that turf all day. But they're
could have been too bad. She did it twice.
Yeah, well, that's why only twice, not a third time. And then statistically, I know we had a lot of guys baseball wise. Our athlete of the week, Quinn Hannafan, had a monster week down south.
Yeah, he's hitting I think 481 already this year through the first.
That's a pretty good start.
That's not too bad.
First 10 games, and he's really come on. And his 9 games, he has a hit in every game. So far, he's got a couple multi-hit games too. You've got Cody Fleischer, who's been pretty good. He's over 400 his batting average. I think he's got a team high 9 RBI. I think that's what he is right now. And he's kind of been their extra base guy, if you will. Really, I shouldn't say that because George Castro has been their extra base guy. He's got 2 triples and 3 home runs so far this year with 7 RBIs. So he really came alive, it felt like, in their first game against Mid-Michigan last week, and then has kind of just been steady for them since.
And those are a lot of familiar names.
We saw those guys in action
you
took the words right out of my mouth.
And it's great that they're starting this spring, just as hot as what they finished last year. Yes. So it's fun to hear that.
Yeah.
And I believe Quinn is a Mets fan, which makes it much easier for me to root for him.
I do recall that conversation. We can't answer those questions.
And his parents are big Mets fans, and we're expecting big things out of from the Queens, New York this year, and down in Flushing.
And I do recall a playoff game down at Scranton High where they wanted to make sure that they met you because you were a Met fan.
Yes,
I do remember that. Yes.
I think it's more than me just being a Met fan, but
Well, that was part of it.
Yeah, of course, but we could go on in a Mets. We'll talk about the Mets. Don't you worry after we're done talking about the Falcons. I'm very excited about the start of the baseball season.
You are every year.
I am even more optimistic than ever this year, especially when Uncle Steve Coleman, the owner of the Mets, says he doesn't care if he goes over and pays a little extra, luxury tax, that it doesn't matter to him. So we're just going to spin, baby. I'm not going to any games and paying to go. So I'm charge whatever you want for tickets and parking. That's fine with me. I'm just going to sit back and watch from home. But any other? How about the arms? Our Falcon arms.
They did all right. Kyle Scott is still recovering from injury, so he came and pitched all right for them for a little bit. I know Matthew Stam had a pretty good outing. Ended up actually winning the game in extras against Henry Ford with a sac fly too. So he did some damage damage, obviously, on the base paths. And yeah, it hasn't been. I haven't seen anything outstanding, but definitely collectively, the Falcons seem like they're getting their pitching, legs underneath them. Really, their hitting has put a lot of pressure on the other team to try to keep up.
And looking at the stats, it looked like Coach McCary, he put a lot of arms in the game last week.
That's kind of why I think no one necessarily stood out, because there was just a lot of guys that ended up getting time because Coach McCary's trying to see who he's got and who he can rely on.
Not only that, too, it's just like we just talked about the weather. So my thinking is I want to get my guys as many opportunities to throw in the live setting as possible when there's warm weather, where I don't have to worry about, because when we come back up north and we might have 6 games in 3 days or maybe even more,
Which could happen.
We got to make sure we have some depth and the guys ready. So good, beautiful. Let's take a break.
Absolutely.
I'm exhausted.
I see that.
All right,
you had a whole week off.
Breathe.
Kind of, yeah. It was nice. We could talk about that when we come back.
All right.
We'll be back in the Falcons Corner. Take flight.
Going to college is a lot more than just about getting an education. It's a life experience.
It's personal growth.
Connections that last a lifetime.
It's memories that are everlasting and experiences that you could have never imagined. It's an education that will change your life forever.
This is life-changing. This is Lackawanna College. Imagine the innovator you could be tomorrow with an innovative education today from Lackawanna College. Our Level Up program puts high school students on an early college pathway for an easier college transition and faster degree attainment at a dramatically lower cost. That's why Fast Company named us one of the world's most innovative companies. With an education from Lackawanna College, imagine where you'll be tomorrow. This is life-changing. This is Lackawanna College.
Hey, Falcons, back here on the Falcons Corner, voice of the Falcons, Mike Rickert, the big guy, Director of Athletics, Erik Larson, SID, behind. We got to get that camera back on you,
I know.
Tom, behind there. But it's extra work.
It is extra work, and it's the big guy's iPad that usually does it.
Okay.
And so it's like more things we need to do.
Well, anyway, you're here, the SID, Tom Ferguson, giving us all of our information that we need today, since we have no idea what's going on.
I love it. Filling in all the gaps of information where we know, but we don't know.
Yes, exactly, and stuff too. So, and he's got his new phone working back there too, I see.
Yeah, that's right. The new school phone.
New and improved.
Yep. He went with red. I went with black. Tom, you went with red. How about your color?
I think it's black. I said, whatever's available. I really wasn't high in my priority.
Well, when I get a call from IT, that's like the first question, Mike, what color phone do you want? And it's a very stressful situation. I get the whole list of colors they send me, and I was like, I'll just go with black.
So you'd be better off just here. This is what we have.
Exactly. Don't make my mind work harder than it has to and stuff too. So
unnecessary decisions.
Yes. So over spring break, we got some good news about some of our men's and women's basketball players, and we have. Naya was Region 19 Player of the Year, yes. And
Division 2.
Gabby Jackson was first or second team?
Second team.
And then on the men's side,
Jalen
boy
Davis.
Jalen Davis was first team.
Yeah, we, obviously we're excited to see that. And to have the Region 19 Women's Basketball Player of the Year for Division 2, that's phenomenal. That's an absolutely fantastic season. And kudos to Naya. We talked about our basketball seasons, numerous times, and how difficult it was with teams canceling on us and us looking for games and rescheduling, but we got through a full season, we got through a full schedule, and then to have them recognized like that, regionally is a big deal for us, and we're proud of all of them.
Yep, absolutely. So hopefully they move on to bigger and brighter things, which I'm sure they will. And I know Coach Gabriel has already posted a lot of highlights and game film of all his guys that are eligible to move on after the season. So hopefully we'll see them wherever they want to be.
We've, or at least I've gotten some information through the rumorville. I don't know that I can actually expound on any of them because I don't know how much I can confirm or deny in terms of who's going where. But they are getting looks, and that's what's important. That we're going to get them prepared for the next level to be successful, somewhere else as well.
Good. And I spent my spring break here a lot with hopefully a future Falcon, and I spent a lot of time with him in the gym and in the weight room and stuff too. So
a lot of recruiting for you
the
last
recruiting
week.
Is still ongoing.
It's a team effort, no matter how you look at it. It's not just the coaching staff here.
I haven't seen you came in and you said hi to.
Absolutely, I talked them up. Yeah.
And he's just like one of our Falcon athletes because he forgot his shoes in the car and he forgot this. It's just like, they go to the weight room. Well, coach, I forgot my shoes. It's perfect. It's exactly
already
what we
fits in.
Yes. But we are back from spring break. We want to mention, too, that we have a lot of non-traditional spring sports starting. We've talked about football in the weight room, but they start practices in 2 weeks, and they'll get out in pads and, get ready for their spring game. And then same with our soccer teams, right?
Yep. And I talked to Coach Udo last week, and, really looking forward to seeing what these guys have in the spring, to get ready for next fall. And so they've been working hard. They're at it. Boy, they're here, 5:30 every morning.
Yep.
They're active. Coach Tweedy, Coach Evans, they have activities now scheduled, and there are some outdoor activities coming up. So again, we have a lot going on, as always.
Right.
More so than what we've had in the last year or two. So
which is
it's
nice.
good to see. It's good to see the activity and everybody in action.
We just need Mother Nature to stop being so nasty.
In due time,
I
think she's going to help us out this week.
So we'll see.
Yeah, so we're getting there.
We wish
slowly
her the
but surely.
best, Mother Nature.
Especially,
yes, I don't want to speak any ill will of her because I don't want anything negative coming back at
Do you
us.
like how I used the word she's being nasty instead of another word? And Tom, that way I had to save like a bleep because we never had to have anything bleeped out on the show.
Not that we actually recorded.
One of my weaknesses may be the tendency for me to use like language that might not be appropriate all the time. Now I don't do that in front of but maybe just like in my own head or in my
I'm assuming we're not
office.
talking about like the gosh dang it's and those kinds of things.
Yeah. So we've never had to use the bleep button on the show. We've never been censored.
Not yet.
Not yet.
That's why we're still on.
Never say never.
Well, now that I thought about it, it would be fun to hear the bleep button.
Just for
and stuff too. So, all right. What do you got, Tom?
I was going to say, hopefully the weather holds out because we do have scheduled our first baseball home game on Sunday.
Yes.
A home doubleheader with ASA in New York. We'll see if anything happens earlier, depending on if things get scheduled and whatnot. But hopefully the weather continues to hold steady and give us something good on Sunday.
I would say the best chance of that happening is if we move off-site and have to play at a turf field.
Yeah, I agree.
That would be.
We are most definitely in that time of year where we're going to keep Tom on his toes because it's a crapshoot. Every day could change.
Yes. So I'll end the show like I say all the time. If you need to know all this stuff, just go to www.lackawannafalcons.com.
You can't miss there. We keep it up to date regularly.
Right, and then from there you can even click on all those little fancy symbols or whatever for our social media sites. So there's Instagram, there's Twitter, there's Facebook.
I don't know that we can make it any easier for folks to get athletics information.
Isn't there like a YouTube button channel?
Oh, there's a YouTube button, there's a Facebook, Instagram. I'm sure I'm missing something. Twitter. Good. Do we have anything else?
Probably the Twitch stream for esports too.
Oh, yes, Twitch.
Yes, because they're going into their non-traditional season also, right?
Yeah, Overwatch is competing right now in their spring season, but
just don't tell Joe that they're competing right now in their spring season. That's all. We keep that from Joe. We want to be happy. And then speaking of Joe, we got to leave the show. If you want to play golf with the Joseph Paparelli, get your bids in now and be part of a foursome in our Lackawanna College inaugural athletic department.
And that'll be here in no time, June 6th. So write that on your calendar. Make sure you go to our website for all that information. We have sponsorship opportunities. Obviously we would love to have you play in the tournament. And yes, an opportunity to play with Joe Paparelli in a foursome.
Awesome.
That's a big deal.
That's a huge deal.
Because that doesn't happen for everybody.
Could you imagine?
Somebody has to take advantage of that.
I mentioned that to my son Michael. I was like, you could play golf with Joe for 18 holes. And he was like, could you imagine Joe, your son, who works with Joe all the time, my son who works with Joe all the time, like them and some other guy, just have them in a foursome?
Just got to find one more.
That's it.
It would be the Spotter Hunger Games or something there, you know?
Just get your cash in if you want to be part of that foursome. That's unbelievable.
But that's coming up in real quick.
So Mother Nature put that on your calendar too.
Absolutely.
That we have
June 6th, Elmhurst Country Club.
Awesome. Great job today.
Hey, I appreciate it.
In an emergency role.
Well, I mean, Sure, it's an emergency.
And we're off dress because I have my strength and conditioning gear on.
Right.
You're off branded. You have the Adidas shirt on. You know, it's tough.
But like we said, like schedules change. It's the springtime. Every day.
But those
change.
are our colors, though.
Well, I mean, at least I went with a color.
Yeah. So, and you didn't know. We could just make you. Tom, could you put like a little Under Armour thing right over
put a
that?
Falcon on his
like little Photoshop that or something. All right. Awesome. Great job. All right. Thanks for tuning in to Falcon Nation. We'll see you next week on the Falcons Corner. Take flight.